Kind of wanted to talk about what we do and do some activities with you guys just to make it a little bit more poignant around what we do in the Career Center and how we help students or support students. But before I jump into that, I wanted to see, what do you guys know of the Career Center? Has anybody used us before? Have you come in the office at all? What was it that you used us for?
To look for jobs posted online, and I also came in for a resume help day.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of the review or quick tips related to
Yeah,
it.
someone looked at my working resume and gave me some tips on how to fix it and tailor it for
Nice.
certain jobs.
Absolutely. Good work. I'm glad you came in.
Yep.
For everyone else, don't forget about us. We're absolutely, you've been in the Career Center as well?
Yeah, I booked the appointment before, and the consultants help me with like how am I supposed to map out my career and things like that.
Yeah, going to plan it out, prepare it out. Nice, very good. Well, thanks for coming and using us as well. Wonderful. Well, really, I'm going to go through everything that we do in the Career Center, so don't feel like just because you've maybe never used us before that you're not going to get this information or it may not be pertinent to you. And I never like to really brag, it's not my nature, but I kind of think we're like the most important office on campus, right? If you think about like what brought you to college, I guarantee 80% of you would say it's about finding a better job, setting yourself up for success, having a little higher income or something that's meaningful. And that's exactly what my office does, is to support you all in that way. And so this is just a breakdown of what I'll do with you guys over the course of the next hour and 15 minutes or so. Just a lot of activities. I wanted to make it more engaging than me just kind of speaking at you. I found that I remember material a lot more when I use it or when I integrate it into what I need. And so we'll do a bunch of activities and think about how college and careers kind of connect, how we can make this connection, how we can work through some of the challenges related to it. Kind of do a quick little funny activity related to resumes. It is a big part of what a lot of individuals or students know about us. And then really talk about Handshake and then the overall role of the Career Center, a lot of the different services that are out there as well. So just know that if you guys like, I have my personal cards, my own business cards up here, so feel free if you would like to grab one to connect with me personally. I am a big advocate of connect with someone, and that's not just say go to that office. So for me, it's not like just go to Tivoli 267 and see the Career Center. It's really, no, you have my card. Feel free to say, hey Nick, you presented in Lisa's class. I wanted to just reach out and maybe see if we couldn't talk through whatever it is. So just know that you always have me in your corner. Similarly, there are our services guides up here as well, has all of our contact information in it, and then even to the different resources and things that we utilize as well. So if you find that that would be helpful, feel free to grab one of those as well on your way out. So I wanted to kind of do some research, begin kind of getting a survey for the room. And so I want you guys to think about when you were like 4, 7, kind of that real young age. And I want you to think about, did you have an idea of what you wanted to be when you grew up? And if you did, feel free to stand up. And so if you're at that young age and you're like, yeah, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, or I had an idea of even what I wanted to be when I grew up, go ahead and stand. Right? You would have caught me, I would be standing right now as well. I would have guaranteed I was going to be a professional soccer player. That was going to happen. That was what my kind of career goal was. So thinking about what that career goal was for you at 4 to 8 years old, if you are actively working towards that, actively gaining an education or training or whatever it might be for that career title, go ahead and stay standing. If you've totally switched, doing something completely different, go ahead and have a seat. Right, so like for myself, I want to be a professional soccer player, yeah, I'd be sitting down. It didn't happen, I got burnt out in high school. Well done, ladies, that's awesome. Do you mind sharing what it is you're seeking or working towards?
I want to be a singer.
Nice, good, yeah, absolutely.
Singer-songwriter.
Good deal, perfect fit, right, in the King Center. How about for yourself?
I want to be a saver, like saving animals, saving people, and that's worth the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm kind of working towards that. I want to work in an NGO with campaigns and whatever.
Good, wonderful, congratulations, keep it up. Let us know how we can help you reach that singing and songwriting or supporting animals or even those that might not have a voice out there. But like you guys could see, like a lot of us, the majority of us were standing up, but then even as I asked that question of are you currently working towards it, a lot of us sat down, right? Something to really just kind of think about, and I'll hit on that in just a moment. And so related to this piece too, I want you guys to think about these questions. And if this question pertains to you, if you've ever thought about this before, feel free to just raise your hand. Go ahead and just kind of identify like that's the way that you felt about it. So, I must be absolutely certain before I can act, right? You gotta know for 100% before you can act, right? Yeah, totally, I was absolutely in this boat as well. Career development involves only one decision, right? It's like, I just gotta pick my major, or I just need to pick the career, and it all falls into place. That's the only choice I gotta make, right? Yeah. If I change, I failed. Man, if I switch majors, if I change careers, if I adjust that career title even, I failed, it's all over. What the point was it? Ugh. Yeah, it kind of feels that way sometimes. That if I can just do this, then I'll be happy. Right? Yeah, if I could just support people, then I would be happy. If I could just get out there and perform, then I would be happy. Right? That one piece to it. My work should satisfy all of my needs. Right? Yeah, like it's the point of a job. Like it should be meaningful, it should be fulfilling, it should be my purpose, my calling, as a lot of people put it out there. Yeah. I can do anything as long as I'm willing to work hard enough. Yeah, absolutely, right? If you just put forth the effort, then why shouldn't it be able to happen? My worth as a person is integrally related to my occupation, right? So what I do for a living really creates the sense of value in my career, or in myself, in my own self-worth in the world, right? Yeah. So really, all of those questions, and even all of these that you found here, my initial question about what were you when you were young, and are you working towards that, it's really to show that this whole process, everything that we've kind of been taught or focused on, isn't necessarily true. We gotta have this reality check. Because as you noticed with the activity where everyone was standing, and most people were standing, then a handful of people sat down, we just have 2 remaining, right? That represents that we change. Our goals change. Our direction changes. What we want out of life changes. And that's okay. That's the part of life. We always evolve and grow. Very similarly, a lot of these are some pretty common myths that we find out there within the world of career development or thinking about colleges and careers. One of them that was specific for me was I need to be absolutely certain before I can act, and if I've changed, I've failed. I switched majors 3 different times when I was in college. And so every single time I had to go through this process or I had to think through it, I did. I felt like I failed. I felt like I wasn't where I needed to be. Ugh, right? It just hurts. It makes life more challenging in a way. So just know that a lot of these that you find up here aren't necessarily true. Specifically too, like work should satisfy all of my needs. Not at all. I love video games. It's so true of me. But I got no need. I have no desire to program a game. I have no desire to debug a game. I have no desire to animate or anything of that nature. So just because that's a part of me doesn't mean it needs to be the focus of my career. Careers are so much more than just one of these pieces or even one part of our self in a way. So one of those pieces that I think is the most important part to this is values, right? When thinking about our careers, we get so focused on this mindset of it's got to be your interests, it's got to be your passions, you have to do what you love and you never work a day in your life. Well, really, there are other pieces beyond interests and passions that go into career satisfaction. And so with this activity, what I want you guys to do is I'm going to show 2 different values on the screen. And if you identify with the value that you see on your left-hand side, I want you guys to get up. Oh, maybe the camera's in the way. We'll just do this. Raise your hand. That way we don't have to move and mess up the camera. So when I have the 2 different values up, I'll talk through them. And then whichever one you identify with, which one is most important to you, just go ahead and raise your hand when I'm talking about it. You have to pick one. You cannot pick both of them. And you cannot say neither. Right? So you have to pick one. Can't pick both. Can't say neither. So when you think about your job, when you think about what you would want to do on a daily basis or for your career even, what would be more important to you? Would something like structure, working in an environment that provides guidelines, objectives, kind of clear and concise expectations? Or would you rather have a job that's more kind of creatively focused? So it's having a job where you can create new concepts, products, services, systems, etc. Whatever generalization of creativity you would like to apply to this. And not work within an established rule or procedural process. So for those of you that would appreciate structure or value structure more in your career, feel free to raise your hand. Absolutely. Like this would be me. If I don't have a clear expectation of what you want out of me, I don't know what to do. I kind of get paralyzed, right? Sweet. So then on the other half, everyone that values that creativity piece to it, right? Got it. So which one would be more important for you? Helping society, so having a job that allows me to help others and contribute to the betterment of the world? Or are you looking for something that's high income? Having income that provides me with plenty of discretionary funds and having influence. All right, so helping society side? Yeah, I got psychology and philosophy, that's my background. Helping individuals, absolutely. Thanks. How about high income? Perfect, yeah. So this is just a little bit of a dialogue. A lot of times when we do this activity, we'll have you guys break into groups, be on other sides of the room and kind of talk about it. So I was curious, for those of you that selected high income, no judgment. Absolutely no judgment whatsoever, no negative connotation related to this. What motivated you to select this option? Yeah, fire away.
Well, for me personally, like family is something that's important to me, and I think I don't want to have a family anytime soon, but sometime in my life, I think that'd be a goal of mine, and like being able to provide is kind of like a big reason, and I'd rather be able to have income to help provide for them.
For sure, yeah, absolutely, man. When you break it down like that, you see this kind of thrown against each other, and people are like, oh, you're a heartless, soulless person, you just want income.
Yeah.
Not at all, right? There's so much more to it. How about for somebody else that identified high income? What was your motivations?
Well, what caught me was saying having influence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And obviously we need people to volunteer to help the world, but we also need people to fund those things. So when you have more income, you can find donations and charities. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely, that makes a huge impact. Yeah.
I've worked jobs where the income wasn't the best, and I don't want to be one of those people who have to live paycheck to paycheck and constantly live under pressure of if something goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm in snowboarding, flat my knee. I have no resources to pay for that. Yeah.
I feel strongly about a high income because I feel like that's how I can help society. Is by making money or gaining a position where I have more employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that influence piece. How about for yourself?
I mean, like along those lines, it's more of the privilege thing. Like, if you exercise your privilege, you can greatly help society.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Right? It's a perfect deduction down towards, right? One over the other doesn't have value. One's not more important than the other. Because we need our doctors and nurses and teachers and mental health professionals and nonprofit administrators and things. But yeah, we also need some of those business professionals. We need nonprofit and foundation heads. And it's exactly that piece. From the first time that I did this activity, I saw a majority of students, this was about 4 years ago, a majority of students came to the side and I was like, what? This is the generation of helping. Like, how did this disperse like that? And it was exactly that piece. They took it beyond the direct impact, the direct service to somebody, and they hit on all of the pieces that you've identified already. Man, imagine the impact I could make if I started a nonprofit that helped disadvantaged students get out and sing, or get out and do photography, or I had an opportunity to help them with housing or food insecurities. That makes a huge impact, almost more of an impact at times, depending on how you want to view it, than the actual social worker that might be working with that individual, right? So there's so much that can be pulled out of these values beyond just what we see as the surface. All right, how about this one? Looking for a challenge, working on complex issues or problems that will challenge my ability, have the opportunity to learn new things. Yeah, nice, for sure. For me, fun and humor, working in a setting where it is possible and appropriate to joke and have fun, right? Yeah, absolutely. For me, if you ever come into the Career Center, we have some really weird little things about us, but that's what makes it enjoyable. That's one of the values that's meaningful to me. And it's not to say that challenge isn't important and learning new things isn't important. It's really, again, what's most valuable to you? How does it define for you? All right, and then this would be the last one. Thinking about honesty. Would you value or would you rather think it's more important to have a job where I am encouraged to openly communicate with my coworkers and I can, with all honesty, share my opinion in various aspects to my job that need improvement? Or are you looking a little bit more for the diversity side? Diversity is having a job where that values diversity, or working in a setting that includes individuals of diverse religions, racial and social backgrounds, right? This one is one of the tougher ones, I feel like, because they both have a value component of honoring an authentic person. But it can be a little bit different in how that comes across. Can I just be open and communicate it? Or is it really just about the representation and having that diversity within the workplace? Would anybody want to share why they identified one way or the other? Yeah.
I personally would want a career that would hire based on your ability to do the job, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
So based on that, like, honesty and openness towards anybody who is, like, able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The competency of it and having the authentic and honest and feeling comfortable that I can be honest without any sense of repercussion or aggression against me to be the best that I can be. Nice, well done.
I also agree with that as well. I chose honesty because while I believe that a diverse environment is important, I think that transparent communication is almost more important with the people that you're working with that have different religions, race, and social backgrounds.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah.
I think the issue with that though, and the reason why I chose diversity is different cultures communicate in different ways.
For sure, yeah.
So if you're looking just for a job where everyone has clear communication in your culture, then I think that has the possibility to eliminate diversity.
Because it's all within that one sphere of expression or that culture. Yeah, I think you had your hand up too.
I chose diversity because I actually have a coworker. She is deaf, so she can't communicate with me unless we just like, I don't know sign language, so but obviously I'll just try to like point things out and try my best.
Yeah, right out
But
loud,
ever since that, I felt like more. I don't know the word, but I just feel like I got to learn something different. Like it just kind of like opened up like a different spot in my heart.
Yeah.
Just to communicate with her.
Absolutely, and even recognize too, like, wow, it's not a language thing. Like that's an ability thing. It's almost to the point of like, wow, we should all like know sign language. We should all know multiple languages. We should, have that ability to make a person feel like they're welcome and they're adequate and they fit within it as well. Nice, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So I was just gonna like kind of tag onto that, but wouldn't just like being honest to a person, wouldn't that help like the site of the work environment too, if it's super diverse?
Yeah, absolutely. The honesty can come across without any sense of judgment, for sure.
I feel like diversity is like the process of being honest because every time people just want to feel being self-protected. So sometimes they tell lies or just totally not tell you something. It's just because they want to protect themselves, and that's fine.
Yes.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's self-worth, like being able to feel vulnerable and vulnerable with others is a challenging thing, especially when you don't have that sense of honesty or clarity to it, or even the respect behind it. And it's perfect because there's a lot of similarity and relatability. And almost you can't have one without the other. But it's exactly that piece of what is it to you and what is the meaning for you. So what was that all about? What was the point of thinking through that stuff? To me, values make or break a potential direction. And values are really the things that make us feel connected to the work that we do and help it to be meaningful to us. And it's not just a job for income, but it's an influence on our community. It's a problem that we want to solve. It's more than just resources, right? And so how to think about college and career, to me, is exactly this principle. We're trying to find this balance between all these different parts of our identity, right? So interests, if you're not interested in it, if you don't care about it, why learn it? Why go to work? I worked at UPS for a little while. Really fun job, I enjoyed it. Didn't care one bit. Didn't matter if we got more packages out, didn't matter if things got broken to me, I was just doing my job. And so to me, it was very difficult to get into work because I didn't care. But also too, personality. What's your personality conducive for? I can be a very goofy, silly person. And if you were to put me in a cubicle in an accounting firm, I would wither away and die. It would be awful because I couldn't express who I am and my values and how I want to be in the workplace and in the world. That's why I find myself in higher education, because this type of thing is so fun to work with you all in a kind of loose, enjoyable way. Yeah, you had a question?
I think just like a comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
My best friend works for FedEx and moves boxes, and I could never imagine myself doing a job where I'm working like stamping boxes, but it's really fulfilling
Yeah,
for him.
there it is, right? I could never do that. I couldn't be an accountant. I barely made it through UPS. It was simply because I was like, I need money and this is the only job I can find that fits my schedule. But for other individuals, it is meaningful. It has purpose to them. And that's exactly the value and the joy of the world that we find ourselves in. It's not picking one thing over the other. It's what is your contribution to the world, right? And so even skills related to this too. If you don't have the skills, you don't feel confident, you don't feel like you're doing anything, and that in turn really creates a lot of self-doubt, and it's not enjoyable in that regard either. I would love to say I'm really skilled at writing and being able to review personal statements on a real grammatical and sentence structure way. I'll be honest, no, my degree's in psychology, philosophy, and counseling. It's not the background or training that I have. And then values, that whole activity that we just did, being able to try to find the balance between it. And so it's not choosing one of these over the other, but looking at what could be more important to you, or which can be the driving factor between it, and finding the balance within the middle. And I use myself as an example just because I know myself the best. I am very much interested in world religions, philosophy, kind of the existence of our lives. I have skills and the ability to interact and build relationships with people. I even have one of the strengths of woo, which is to win others over. Like, I like to meet people. I feel skilled in the ability to be empathetic and to work with people and understand like their background, their unique identities. And even too, I value the expression of religion and spirituality. However, I don't want to be a religious or spiritual leader or a philosopher for that matter. And a big part of it is because of the values piece. I don't want to work within a prescribed religion or doctrine. I don't want to tell people how to live their life. I don't want to work with those weird hours at times. So really the value circle makes or breaks that potential direction for me. So again, it's not finding one over the other, but seeing where's the balance between all of these so we can find that comfortable balance in the middle. There was a research that I read a few years back. A gentleman named Hershey, he's an occupational researcher. He identified 5 components to happiness. And these were the 5 pieces of workplace happiness. And honestly, I can tell you that these ring very true in the times I've tested it, the ways I've looked at it, or even kind of doing my own research in relation to people's dissatisfaction with the world of work. One of them, autonomy, right? The ability to control your day and do what you need within that timeline. I know for a fact that if someone is micromanaging me, I have no sense of faith, trust. I don't do my best work. I'm not happy when somebody's micromanaging me. Mastery. What I'm doing, I need to be skilled at. I would love to say that I can pick up computer programming and be competent with it, but no, let's be honest, I can't. I've tried it a few times. I'm never very good at it. It takes me a long time. So it sucks. It's not a lot of fun for me. Right? So you got to be able to be skillful at it. You got to have mastery over that particular field, as it were. Purpose. What you're doing is personally meaningful to you. So that could be the values piece, that could be income, that could be a lot of different components to it, but it needs to be personally meaningful to you. Again, I go back to UPS of, sure, I could do my day the way that I wanted, just had to fill the trucks with the boxes, and sure, yeah, I was absolutely skilled at it, just scanning and hucking and scanning and hucking. But it wasn't purposeful to me. It didn't make a difference. I could care less. You know, if you got your TV, you got your iPad, great. You know, we all shop on Amazon now, but it didn't mean anything to me as a package handler. Connection. This one is the more fascinating one to me. Connection is the ability to feel related to the people around you, your coworkers, so that you have a sense of community, bond, and even identity through those relationships. And this is something to really think about as well, because you spend a majority of your time with your coworkers, right? 40 hours a week you spend with your coworkers. And take it from me, like after a while, I kind of feel like roommates. You know, like, who are you gonna do your dishes? Or are you gonna vacuum back here? Like, what's going on? This is disgusting. But working with people that you can have those conversations with, that you feel connected, that all are behind you in the same way, makes you feel happy at work. And then let's be frank, guys. Compensation is important. Because like you had mentioned, if I can't pay my way, I can't pay medical bills, I can't pay my rent, I don't even have the resources to have some fun with my friends, to go out to dinner or maybe go see a show or something. Right? If you can't do those things, then you're not going to be happy. So compensation is absolutely a component to happiness in the workplace. And so again, I think that for a lot of us, we hear this messaging of, right, just do what you love and never work a day in your life. Yeah, that's a crock, guys. It's a job. There's going to be days that you hate. I love what I do. I've been doing this for 6 years because it's so meaningful and impactful to me. There are absolutely days that are work. There's absolutely days that are more stressful than others, and that's okay. It's not about just finding that sense of purpose in a way. And then also, too, recognizing that what you're doing is specifically for a higher income. You know, that at times, the reason you're getting a degree or moving in is to find some more stability or find some higher income. And so recognize that that is an okay thing to have. It's an okay value to be working towards as well. So, and a lot of times we find these pieces within our life that give us energy, give us focus. I even use the term flow, right? When you're just in the zone, you're in the flow, like things are clicking, it's happening, it's so easy and efficient, and lacks any sense of like general investment. It just comes. It's in that zone of the flow. And so really try to find that for yourself. And looking at these things of like, what do you dislike and what are you bad at? Let me think about that. Think about something for yourself. What is something that you are generally bad at and that you dislike, right? Just kind of think about it in your head. And for me, like, it would be programming. Like, I'm trying to get familiar with it. I want to learn more about like databases and the ability to use like data to make informed decisions. But let's be honest, like, I have no skill in thinking in that function. I have no real technical abilities related to it. And really, when it all boils down, it just doesn't, it's not important to me. I don't really care. I do it because I want to be better at my job and I want to help out students more. But really, like, I am bad at it and I really don't care for it. On the flip side, something that I'm bad at but I like could be the guitar. Probably since I was like 10 years old and my buddy, my best friend, picked up a guitar, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's been like 20 some years later and I still suck at the guitar. I am awful at it. But I kind of like to do it. It's kind of fun. Just sit there and pick while I'm watching TV, trying my hardest to maybe make a chord. Again, I am awful at it, but it's still somewhat meaningful to me. It's still somewhat enjoyable. On the flip side, something that you're good at and that you like. For me, I really like to work with wood. I really like to do carpentry, but yeah, I don't want to do that for a career, so that's a hobby. Right? And there's definitely a separation between your hobbies that are interests and those interests that are career pathways. And so for me, I really like to work with wood. I like to build furniture. I like to build tables and chairs. And I'm in the midst of making a rocking chair right now. It's giving me some grief, but that's fine. It's still enjoyable to me. And I look at something too that I'm good at, but I dislike. No offense to you guys, reviewing resumes, I dislike it. Yes, I'm good at it. Yes, I know how to do it. I've been doing this stuff for 6 years. I can teach you and go through it with you. But it is by all means not my favorite thing of my job. It's probably my least favorite thing of my job, but that's okay. Because it's finding this balance of what leaves you feeling weak, burnt out, exhausted, and frustrated. Yeah, if I am doing resume reviews all day, by the end of the day, I'm done. I'm spent. Please don't talk to me. Please don't ever show me another piece of paper. I never want to see a resume in my life. Same kind of thing with programming, right? I know I kind of need to do it, and I really want to do it to help inform our services, but good God, sitting there for an hour trying to figure this stuff out, I'd really rather like pick up a newer or anything else. You name it, I'd probably rather do it because it leaves me feeling exhausted and frustrated. But flip that. Even though I might be good at it and like it or bad at it and like it, these are the things that make us feel strong, that make us feel energized, that make us feel purposeful in the world. Because yeah, even though I suck at the guitar, I'm still picking it up 20 years later, still messing around with it, having as much fun as I can. It still gives me purpose and energy. And very similarly, looking at working on wood in that rocking chair, yeah, it's giving me grief. I can't get these rails right. It's not aligning. It's a mess. But it's still fun. I still like it, and that's all right. And so really looking at trying to find these pieces for you between your values, between your strengths, between your personality, all of these pieces here, and how they can relate to what makes you feel energetic, purposeful, and excited. So in the Career Center, it's not thinking about, all right, what's this major, and then working that major until you reach graduation, and then it all works out. It all just falls into our place, right? No, it's exactly the principle of, hey, what were you thinking about what you wanted to do when you were 4 to 8 years old? Right? And then you thought about it, I was going to be a professional soccer player, and then life happened, life occurred, moved things through, life changes, I changed, what I wanted out of life changed, and now it's no longer a career goal for myself. And this process is exactly the way to think about it. And this process is honestly, to me, the recipe for success. A lot of students always ask that, like, all right, what do I got to do to be successful? Go through this cycle. I just went through this cycle in the middle of summer, honestly. it's looking through, all right, let me explore some ideas. Let me think through what is it that I may want to do? What's a major? What's a career? What's a job or something that I could be interested in doing? So my first one was chemistry. Yeah, chemistry was cool in high school. I thought it was fun. I wanted to learn more about chemistry, so I declared chemistry as my major going into college. Yeah, that's awesome. I experimented. I went into that first class, Chem 1 with lab, and then immediately just jumped into it. I have this theory that like first day is always like syllabus day, so it's kind of like a nice cush day. Not in that class, not at all, man. We jumped right into the material, and I was like, I am screwed. This isn't going to work out well for me. And I evaluated, okay, if this first class is already like a foreign language to me, and it doesn't feel as fun, as exciting as it is as it was in high school, well, God, I need to explore something else. So I tried computer science. Yeah, I'm a computer programmer. I love technology. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be neat. And then I jumped in and I looked at all those math classes that were related to it. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? You got to do that much math just to get into like computer science? All right, well, maybe I'll try it out. And I did. I took a semester and worked my way through like pre-calc. And I was like, okay, that's pre-calc. That's not even in the major yet. That was just to prepare me to even get into the major. And then I got to go further than that. Is that really what I want to do with my life? Is that exactly what I need to hit? And I went through that cycle, and you constantly find yourself going through this cycle. Like I had mentioned over the course of the summer, I went over this cycle because the assistant director job was open. I've been in the Career Center for about 5 years, and I was like, okay, is this really what I want to do? Is this where I want to find myself for the next 5 years? And I did some experimenting by talking with faculty, I talked with supervisors, I talked with mentors, and I evaluated. Okay, I think this is what I want to do. So I made an application. And now I'm in the midst of experimenting with this job, and now I'm evaluating, is this really where I want to find myself in 4 years, in 5 years? What are the skills that I could take from it? And so this cycle to me is exactly how to find that best fit major or that best fit career. You know a little bit about what you're thinking, right? Then let's experiment with that idea. Whether it's a class, a job, an internship, a volunteering, an informational interview, whatever it is. Try it out and then learn from it and see where it takes us from there. And so it's exactly all these pieces around just knowing yourself and knowing what it is that you're looking for. So looking at content versus context. So within this model of explore, experiment, and evaluate, well, we got to know what's going to be that piece of experimentation that's going to help me. So content or context. Content, let's learn about it, right? Okay, so you want to be digital design. You want to work within graphic design and digital design. Awesome. Let's learn about those jobs. Let's read about them. Let's reflect a little bit. There's wonderful resources on ONET, Career Briefs. These are all resources that we have in the Career Center to support you guys through this piece of, let me just learn a little bit of content about what this really means, what this job or what this major could really entail for me. Even too, scheduling appointments with myself or any of the other counselors so that we can reflect, we can talk about this, we can break down the values and skills and all these pieces that really relate to it. But let's take it a step further. Once you think about it, right, because I knew for a fact that I was going to be a chemist. That was what I was going to do. Well, then let's gain that experience. Yes, I am a gamer, so if you ever see XP next to each other, that is my abbreviation for experience, right? So for all my gamers out there, right, you got to gain that experience. Whether that experience be through a class, it be through a job, an internship, part-time work, volunteering, informational interview, whatever it is, let's talk to people that are doing that. And so for me, I was, all right, I know a little bit about the chemistry field, that sounds exciting, I think I'll do well in there. All right, let me gain that experience by taking that class, and then let me evaluate. How does that relate to like these 4 circles, those 4 pieces of career satisfaction in a way? Yeah.
I just had a question on the process of majors and careers. I'd say that like time is a pretty valuable thing in the world. So how do you find a balance between time and using your resources, because we don't have time and resources to experiment forever.
Yeah, oh yeah, you hit it on the head. And so timeline does fall into place when we're thinking about that cycle, right? Because, all right, we all kind of hear that notion of we got to graduate in 4 years. We even hear the notion of like, loans and debts and how it all kind of relates to the college experience. And so really it's about intentionality to it. You can absolutely just start throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, and that can be your exploration part to it. But let's be a little bit more intentional about it. Let's really kind of hone in and have that conversation to begin with so that this cycle is done with intention and done that can fit within the timeline and something that's meaningful versus just whimsically going about it. Yeah, so It absolutely has to have forethought and intention behind it. And this is kind of how I think of it, where it's not a single career. You're not looking for that one career, that one job, but it's really simply saying, what's this theme of a career? What's that kind of center balance between those four circles that makes me feel important, that makes me feel valuable, that kind of gives me the needs that I have or the things that I want out of my career as well. Because I look at it as, even once I identified that philosophy and psychology was what I wanted to do and how I wanted to go into it, there were a lot of different types of jobs that I took on to really figure out that career counseling is the best fit for me. And so I tried working with young preschool age kids that have experienced trauma in an educational environment. I have worked within the foster care system. I have worked with teenagers that suffer from substance abuse, or even teenagers that find themselves in juvenile corrections. I've worked with a lot of different populations, but I've recognized through that kind of cycle, I think I have it here, I would work my way through that cycle to really say, wow, man, working with these teens that have substance abuse and they're in juvenile corrections, like that is way too challenging for me. This is not an environment that is where I find myself happy, fulfilled, and even not burnt out at home. Similar kind of thing, every different type of job that I've done within the world of human service, mental health, or counseling, have all led me to where I am today. Because it's not about the single position, because if I thought about, oh, I was going to be an adolescent therapist, that's when I started grad school, I was going to be an adolescent therapist, that was my goal. Well, it didn't work out. So did I freak out? Did I lose all hope? Was it just over because I had that one goal? No. It was meaningful because I had a theme. I knew I wanted to help people. It's just trying to find what that expression of help was my testing and retesting. And then eventually figured out that, yeah, career counseling is very meaningful to me and this is where I want to be for a lot of these reasons. And so think of it this way, right? It's not a single career title, but what is a problem that you want to solve? For me, it was dissatisfaction in the workplace. I had family members, I had friends, I grew up remembering like, work's just what you do, you just grind through it. You go to school, I go to work, and we both hate it. Like, that was totally my father, absolutely. And I look at school, it's like, wow, that was just torture. I didn't know why I had to do that until I found the value in it. So think about that in terms of, what's the problem you want to solve? What's the impact that you want to make? And I even phrase it that way, what's the impact you want to make in your community? Because every single one of these occupations has value in our economy. Even somebody that makes the new iPhone, that programs the new app, that might find the new way to manage money, right? It might be technologically focused or have income focus base to it, but it's still making a difference because, God, yes, I want that new iPhone, and yes, I want that app that makes my experience on my phone a little bit more fun, right? So whatever your answer to either one of these is or can be, that's okay. That's your contribution to the world. And regardless of if it's programming or economics or counseling or singing or whatever it is, you have purpose. You have a place in this world, and it's figuring this piece out here. And so break that passion mindset, right? It's not just about a job that connects to your passions. Because yeah, I am passionate about waffles. I love them, they're delicious, it's one of my favorite breakfast foods. But I don't want to work in Waffle House, I don't want to be a cook, like that sounds awful to me. Careers aren't found. These aren't things that you're just like, ooh, look at this, I'm going to be a counselor. Yes, ooh, I'm going to be a computer programmer. No, you don't find these things under your tables. They're cultivated, they're developed. It's taking on multiple different experiences in a lot of different ways and evaluating how that relates to yourself. You get to choose your own direction, which is a little scary, right? For a lot of our lives, it was you go from 7th grade to 8th grade to 9th grade to 10th grade to 12th grade, you graduate. And then your whole life is prescribed for you in a way. And then you come to college and it's like, here you go, figure it out. What classes do you want to take? What do you want to major in? How are you going to finance that? Where are you going to live? All of these levels of responsibilities and choices that we were never really able to take grasp of at a young age, and we're just kind of flung into it. So just know that it's okay, that you're in control of this, and that it's the future. Nobody knows if it will work out, right? I never knew if chemistry was going to work out when I made that choice. I never knew if being an adolescent therapist was going to work out when I made that choice. But I used the data to be able to figure out, is that really where I want to be? ooh, chemistry sucks, I don't want to do that. Then we go into something different. Okay, cool, mental health, working with kids in the youth treatment facility. Oh my God, that is depressing on the soul. I don't think I can survive here. Oh, look at that. I feel like a better fit working with traditional age college students. It's more meaningful to me. But it took time to figure that out. It took some experience to figure that out, and that's okay. Not knowing the future is a part of life. If you know the future and you can predict it, talk to me after class. I'm going to give you some money. We're going to make billions of dollars in this industry by telling people what to do with their lives, because we can figure that out, but we can't. So just know that it's okay. You'll feel lost at times. Everybody does. Last summer when I was thinking about should I take the assistant director job or not, yeah, I was freaking out. I felt lost. I didn't know what to do. That's okay. That's life. Just remember that the kind of process here can really help you to break that down and see where the value of the purpose is, or what that direction is. The more experiences, the better. Time is a big part of it. So let's be intentional with that. Come in and see us. We can build out all these action steps and think about ways for you to even test and retest these ideas. Cool. So that was a lot about what I and my other counselors find most fascinating about what we do. Helping you guys understand yourself, your own needs and values, personality and interests, and helping to kind of plan out that cycle for yourself and saying, all right, what can we do to help you figure this out and get there? I'll never write your resume for you. I will never tell you what to do with your life. I'm trying to figure my own life out. I don't want the liability of yours. But we're here to help you through it, by all means, because life is challenging. We don't need to do it on our own. That's why we have the God-given ability to communicate with each other, right? We don't have big claws. We can't run really fast. We can't climb trees super quickly, but we can communicate with each other. And that's the value that we can bring. So to switch gears a little bit, and just think about some of those mechanical pieces to the Career Center. Like you mentioned, you came in to get your resume reviewed before. I really find this to be a pretty fun activity. So I just wanted you guys to see, what would you change about the following resumes? There'll be 2 different resumes up here. And by all means, feel free to just kind of blurt them out, raise a hand, whatever you would like. So what would you change about the following resumes?
Wow.
Actual resumes. These are actual resumes. Yeah, by all means.
Personal, the one on the left is slightly distracting in color and unprofessional.
Yeah, a little bit.
That
Yeah.
was so democratic, so polite.
So polite. Yeah, absolutely. It feels a little off, right? We all think we have this conception of what a resume can look like.
My little resume.
Definitely not. I think that's right. Oh, bonus stats. Bonus stats for y'all there. Yeah. What else? Absolutely.
Would it depend on what like someone's applying for? Because aside from that, like that could be possibly like a good resume depending on like what they're applying for. Because like the one on the right, it seems like it is pretty blunt, but it just depends. Because if it's just like a simple job or something like that, it's not as detailed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that these are bad, but it just depends on what they were going for. Maybe they could have a few improvements, maybe in wording in that, but it's not immediately calling them out as bad.
Oh, absolutely. You need a job, come find me in the Career Center. You can be one of our resume reviewers. Because yes, that is absolutely correct. If this is a computer science and mathematics background, and if they are applying to My Little Pony, if they're applying to that show or the, what's that?
Toy company.
The toy company, yeah, absolutely. Anything that's relevant, relatable, that makes this to say, okay, you got really creative here, and that actually stands out. That's something that's unique for sure. Yeah.
Going over the one on the right, it's,
Oh,
it's very much a hyping oneself, which is kind of the point of this resume, is to demonstrate your skills, but it's doing it in a manner that is probably not the best way to get those skills and points across.
Yeah.
It's, in like the little letter, like a letter format as well, with the
Like the I am
love so and so with the
Yeah.
the bottom part
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Probably tomorrow I'll get my paperwork. I wish it was a little bit clearer because there's some verbiage in there that is just unbelievable, right?
Profanity should probably go away.
Yeah, the profanity for sure. That is the big red flag. His PST, my favorite color is taupe because it rhymes with dope. What?
Wow.
Wait, why would you put that on a resume? Like, no. You guys exactly hit it on the head. Where, yes, we can kind of joke about it. We can see right away that, yes, profanity, even the level of just bragging and boasting and just overinflation of ego and self, definitely not fitting. Trying to find a format that is both relevant for the industry, but professional and communicates all the value and the information to it. That's exactly the point to it, right? Confidence, like this is a piece of where a lot of people always struggle with resumes because it feels like we're bragging about ourselves. I can do all these amazing things. And it very much is a fine line between that bragging and boasting and then a sense of confidence and that your abilities. And think of it this way, you're not simply saying that I am the best counselor out there and I have the best skills in communication that anybody ever could have. You could feel the disingenuousness in that. But to say that, yeah, I have the ability to communicate with people and be able to elicit some conversation from them that helps me understand their needs and how to relate to them, that means like you're capable, you're able of it. Yeah.
The one thing that I do, so I'm kind of still stuck on the left one. The one that I support that in the sense that like as an artist, I like have my own like digital work that I put on my own resume, just like in the corner as like a stamp almost.
Yeah.
Like a lot less than that, but I think like showing that you can work graphically is great.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of variables to the answer to these questions, right? Yes, if you're in graphic design, you're applying to a graphic design position, to have your portfolio, to have graphics, to have even the way that you approach the overall aesthetic look of your resume becomes a representation of your skills and abilities. But for the accountant, man, you get blasted in the accounting world with this kind of approach. Very similarly, any sense of professionalism or any office that has any sense of professionalism, they're going to be looking through this and be like, not a chance. Faxing numbers and mother flipping checkout all over that. What did you even want to say there? I don't know what that means. So it is about finding that balance between your audience, what they're expecting, and even communicating what you need. Just know that in the Career Center, we have resources on all of this stuff. Resumes, cover letters, curriculum vitae or CVs if you need to use them, all of this material. So please, for the love of God, do not Google how to write a resume, okay? Please, for the love of God, don't go spend money on a professional resume writer or a resume wizard or some thing that you have to pay for because you guys already pay for us. We're in your student fees. We're a part of your resources to help you be successful through college. So come in and use us and get this information from us versus the conflicting things you can find on Google or other pieces of information that can just sometimes be not on the line, not congruent with each other. So one of the other pieces that I wanted to hit on about what the Career Center does as well is Handshake. Have you guys heard of Handshake? All right, yeah, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. A couple of years ago, none of you would have known about it. That's all right. Marketing's starting to work. Handshake is our internship and job board for you all. You get access to it for the rest of your life. So even after graduation, you would still have access to Handshake. And so if you need a work-study job, an on-campus job, even an off-campus job, Handshake will have those opportunities. Similarly, the Experiential Learning Center, we're kind of like sister offices in a way. They deal with internships, we deal with careers. They work with a lot of mechanics around like getting internships approved for credit and the documentation related to it. Excuse me, we can help you through those workplace issues or applications to jobs or even that career direction piece. And so back into that cycle about testing and retesting, like experimenting, assessing, evaluating, going around that cycle, Handshake can be a really good place to start. Because even something like basic introduction to research, even if you find yourself as a College of Arts and Media student, there are research opportunities for arts and media students. It's not just bio and chemistry students. Very similarly too, the Handshake job board actually connects to every institution in the country that uses it. So these are not just jobs that are specific to the Denver metro area, but I know like Harvard Business School uses it, Georgia Tech uses it, Stanford uses it, North Dakota uses it. There are a lot of institutions that use this system now, and you can have access to all of their jobs as well. There's even jobs and opportunities, internships abroad as well. So I found some in Bolivia the other day. I know there's a bunch of them in the UK. So there are abundant opportunities here to help you do that testing and retesting piece. Whether they are internships or part-time jobs, full-time jobs, or even experiential learning outside of even that internship world too. Just know that that whole piece about gaining experience and testing things out, we can assist you in setting that up, locating it, and making those applications to it. Cool. So what does this Career Center thing do? So everything that we just talked about. So if you ever need help to kind of figure out what you want out of your career, to kind of go through that 4-circle exercise of saying, all right, what are these skills, interests, and values, personality traits that connect to me so I can find that balance? Absolutely here to do that. We want to do that. That's what drives a lot of us in our office. We offer a tremendous amount of assessments as well around this material. So you might have heard like the MBTI or the Myers-Briggs type indicator. There is the strong interest inventory. There is the Clifton Strengths Finder, a lot of different tools that help us just get information about ourselves. And I find what's so helpful about any of those tools is that you have more abundant language to it. So that, like for myself, according to MBTI, my personality type is an ENFP. The E stands for extroversion, and so there's a dichotomy comparison of extroversion versus introversion, and it's seeing which one do you prefer more often. And people always think it's about sociability, that introverts are shy and they don't like people, and extroverts are outgoing and love people. That's not really the case. It's about how you get in your energy. So for me as an extrovert, now that I have this language about what extroversion truly means at its core and original theory, I can say in an interview like, yeah, I would do really well in presentations. I think it's something that's a strength of mine because I get energy by interacting with people. So doing this with you all jazzes me up, gets me excited, gets me ready to go do more work. And so that is a value to your employer because the more presentations I do, the more people I interact with, the more focused and energetic I become. Right? It means so much more to an interviewer than, I like people, I can present, I feel pretty good at it. And there's not a lot of depth to it. So those assessments can really help create a lot of depth to your language about yourself. Understanding your own goals and assisting you to obtain them. So what do you want out of college? What do you want out of the next step? How can we help you get there? Reviewing all of the mechanics, right? Resumes, cover letters, personal statements, if you need to write a personal statement for an entrance into grad school or anything of that nature. Even if you maybe need to do a writing example for a position or an internship as well, happy to help you with that as well. Interviewing strategies and preparation. So we could do a lot of different environments to the interview prep stuff. If you want to just call and schedule an appointment to talk a little bit about some strategies or approaches to interviewing, absolutely something we can do. If you want to conduct a mock interview, you know there's a job you're trying to apply to, send me the job description. I'll create questions that are focused toward that job, and we'll conduct a full mock interview. Be like in character the whole time through, and just give you some evaluative pieces to say what could you do better from introduction and handshake to exiting after the interview and everything in between. For me, interviews can be really nerve-wracking, right? They can be very scary. It's kind of like we're sitting in the hot seat, just trying to prove ourselves to these people. I gotta have this job, I gotta have this job. Well, the more comfortable you get with it, the less stressful it becomes, right? Think about the first time you got behind the wheel of a car, or the first time that you've done something that was a little scary, right? It felt uncomfortable at first, but the more that you did it, the more comfortable it becomes, and now you're whipping donuts in the parking lot, you're power sliding corners, like it works out well now. But at first, it took that practice. So we can help you get comfortable with that anxiety, get comfortable with the interview dynamic, and just practice through it so that you feel as strong as possible with the interviews. But yeah, the job search piece too. So if you do need assistance with work study or student employment on campus or off campus, where to look for jobs, different resources to find them, absolutely. We have a whole list of different job or niche industry-specific job boards for all different majors. You'll find them on our career briefs, which also have information about careers related to majors. So we can absolutely assist you with setting up that job search, looking at what can be most effective and how to locate those opportunities. And even similarly too, a lot of people always talk about networking. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, it's actually relatively true, to tell you the truth. One piece about it though is it's not, networking is not going around and asking people for jobs. It's not saying, hey, you got a job for me? You got a job? Who's got my job? No? All right. Man, my network sucks. Not the case. Networking is really who knows you at the right time. So the job's got to pop up, the job's got to be available so that they can reference you into it, so they can think, oh, that's right, Nick, I remember him. We had such a great conversation about how he likes to present, do all of these things. Maybe he would be really good at this job, I should let him know about it. Big thing with networking is, it's not anything that's scary. The business world thought they were really clever and cool, and we're calling something we've done our entire lives networking. And then we all feel like it's like this hidden secret. We all got to figure it out. Networking is building relationships. You've done it your entire life. You build relationships with friends and family members and all these different individuals in your world through similar kinds of content, right? We both like this music, we both like this sport, we both like this, whatever it is, name it. You guys have bonded over some commonality and we're genuinely interested in each other. Networking is exactly the same thing, but it's not about a book or music, but it's about professional content. About, for me, student development and career development. That's the stuff that can energize me, so I love to meet people that have resources or information for me related to that. So I build relationships with them. And the big piece is that just know this is a process, right? It's not a single appointment, it's not a single class, it's not a single job, it's not one choice and the rest falls into place. But it's a process to help you build and cultivate your purpose and know what is your contribution to that world, this world. And even to the mechanics of how to get to it and how to make that influence through resumes, job searching, and interviewing. So really, these are just some big things I wanted to highlight to you all. These are some of the events and workshops that we do. In the Career Center, we have a lot of events and workshops that we run all semester long. A really good one, Take a Selfie. This is all about you. They are different workshops that assess and look at yourself. What are your values? What are your strengths? What are your interests and skills, and how could you apply those to different directions? So it's a lot of what I did in the first half of my presentation, just done in a group setting. What's really fascinating, kind of similar to when you guys saw like the values activity or even the sit and stand activity, every one of us is scared in one way or another. Every one of us feels uncomfortable in one way or another. And when you find yourself in a group setting, you actually recognize that you're not the only one that feels that way. A lot of students on this campus are freaking out. It's okay, it's the future. Even your friend is like, I know exactly what I'm going to be. I graduate at the end of May. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and they feel so confident. Yeah, peel those layers down, and the very core, they're freaking out. It's all right, it's the future. But Take a Selfie can be really helpful for that. The Job Search Seminar, this is something we do right after graduation, where it's a full day workshop on everything, helping you assess yourself, write your resume, and build a job search strategy. So that comes it's the Monday after graduation in May. Every Wednesday, we do our resume and cover letter meetups. So you can just drop in during this meetup time, work on your resume with myself or one of the other counselors. Quick tips are one of the easier ways to engage with our office. So you can always schedule appointments in the office for any of this material whatsoever, but also quick tips can be pretty helpful because appointments in the office can kind of book out like a week, almost 2 weeks in advance. And so if you want to get your resume reviewed because that job is expiring on Friday, quick tips, you just drop in during these times and we'll answer your questions, review your resume, whatever it might be. Those happen Monday through Thursday from 11 to 1 and then again from 3 to 5. All this information is on Handshake as well as on our website as well. The internship and job fair happening in a couple of weeks on the 21st of February. 60 different employers coming in to hire students for full-time, part-time, and internship opportunities. It's not just for the business school students. There is representation for all industries or majors in there. For anybody that is a College of Arts and Media student, we have a specific job fair for you all as well. We still have our marketing material ready for it, but I want to say that one is in April. So that will be out there too. More marketing will be coming out. You'll see that one come through. Last one I want to hit up is that we're doing this JCPenney suit-up event with Metro. And JCPenney is actually offering discounted professional attire to students, if you got your ID, at a real discounted rate on top of even an extra 40% off their already marked down items. So you could literally walk out with a suit, for gentlemen, you can walk out with a suit for like probably $100 if not less, which is pretty impressive given even probably going to Kohl's and finding a jacket is going to be about $100. So something that's really cool if you don't feel like you have any professional attire that's prepared for the internship and job fair or for your interviews. Keep this in mind. It's Sunday, February 24th. It's at the JCPenney, I believe, in Cherry Creek. But again, if you want some more information, shoot me an email, grab my card, or find it on our website as well. Definitely something not to forget because I know when I was interviewing for positions, it was very hard and then have the resources to buy professional attire. So that event would have been a really big hit for me. Sweet. So that was about all that I had for you guys, and just wanted to see any questions, concerns, fears, input, feedback, anything at all?
So I've been to 3 of the job fairs, internship job fairs that get posted. I've seen similar companies at all three. I always wanted to see a Denver local kind of job fair where it was more not national chain or a lot. There are also a lot of internships which interest me at the beginning. I just wanted to see like a Denver. These are the jobs around Denver who are looking to hire, and that was just my input for what I kind of wanted from a job fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the feedback. I'm absolutely happy to share it with the team and see what we could do to try to create something that might be a little bit more city and county of Denver specific opportunities.
Yeah.
You are correct. A lot of the employers that you find at the job fair are kind of reoccurring employers. They are those that need or are looking for talent on a larger scale than some others. Every one of the opportunities, though, that you'll find at the internship and job fair would be in the Denver metro area, so somewhere in the surrounding areas, not just exclusive to the city and county of Denver. But I like where your head's at. I think that's something that could be really helpful for a lot of students, especially if you don't have a car or a real, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a viable form of transportation that can give you a lot of the options in terms of employment, though. Cool. Well, I appreciate your guys'. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just want to ask about the new person or give some suggestion on how to revise the personal statement.